Hello, you're welcome to this voice training class. And in this class, we're going to be taking voice classification. That means the different types of voice that we have. Oftentimes, you see singers putting themselves in a box, putting their voice in a classification that they don't really belong to. And that affects how they perform throughout their lives. I've met a lot of people in my vocal class before who will say, I'm a soprano singer, I'm a tenor, or I'm a baritone. And they are not, they are far from it. Probably when they wanted to join their choir, that was the space available and they just squeezed them into it. Except you understand your voice properly, you cannot make the best of it. Remember, in our voice class, I told you that your objective in a voice training class is not to change how you sound, but it is to help you make the best of what you have. So how do you make the best of your voice when you don't even understand your voice? A lot of you come into the voice class with the aim to change your voice completely. That will never happen. And that's where frustration comes from. You're taking your voice lesson, a year down the line, you still sound almost the same. The goal is not to change how you sound, but to change how you use your voice. But you cannot use your voice professionally except you understand the type of voice you have. So when we say voice classification, there are several ways you can classify a voice. And then you need to understand no voice is better than another voice. I need to tell you that categorically. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, she sings better. She sings better in a certain context. She sings better in a certain world. Maybe you're talking about R&B, soul music. You're comparing her with some picture in your mind. That voice you call not so good or bad, if you give it to me as a professional, as a music maker, as a songwriter, as a music producer, as a vocal coach, my job is to first find out what that voice will do best. So one of the reasons why you might not be doing so well with your voice right now is that you're using it for the wrong thing. And you're using it for the wrong thing because you don't even understand what kind of voice you carry. So no voice is better than another. So as we're going to do classification, you must understand that they are in different classes, but does not mean another voice is better than another one. I'm sure you've listened to very high soprano songs before. Do, re, mi, fa, so. And you have chills while they're singing. You've got like, wow, this is so good. And you've listened to the guys with very heavy depth. Do, re, mi, fa, so, do, ti, la, so. And you feel the same sometimes when you feel those baritone heavy bass singers. So it's not about how high or how low or whatever texture. It is about how well you use your voice and what you're using your voice for. So there are different ways you can classify a voice. Number one is the texture. The texture. Some voices are so smooth, crystal clear. In fact, you can almost when they sing, you think it's been filtered from a computer or whatever. They got that clear, smooth voice. Some are rough, husky, somehow dirty, if you want to call it that way. Not so clean. It doesn't mean it's bad. If I put that voice for you in some kind of genre of music, you would love it so much. So, different type. So, you might even be working so hard right now to change your voice to sound smooth. Meanwhile, your voice sounding husky is not a sign that your voice is bad. It's your type of voice. Go find out what that voice is meant to be doing. So sometimes you find very weighty voices as well, like heavy. It doesn't matter whether they are singing soprano or alto or tenor or bass. It's got weight. Like if you put your hand on a table and they sit on that table while singing, you can feel that vibration, even if it's a soprano singer. It's got weight. And you got these other voices too. They are so light and so tiny. We often think that the weightier voices are better. That's not true. There are a lot of successful musicians with very tiny voices. I'll give you two examples of soprano. One light, the other one heavy. You know Mariah Carey and Celine Dion. Celine Dion has got that light soprano. Mariah Carey has got that weightier soprano. They are both soprano. You can't tell me that one musician is better than the other. So a lot of times when singers come to me and they say, I want to sound better, I realize what they are trying to change is their natural voice. I do not have the power to help you achieve that. And if anybody is promising to achieve that, it will eventually lead to frustration, because except you're doing who you are, you will never find that perfect joy doing it. So you've got to embrace that you're light, tiny, skinny, voice, and ask yourself, what sort of music do I use this for? There's a musician I love so much, Erykah Badu. Some of you will know her. She does soul music, neo soul. Her voice is so light. I bet you if she goes for any audition, any of this international competition, she will fail woefully, because averagely she won't be able to pitch or do all of those skills that they're looking for. But then she discovered her own kind of great voice and worked so hard. It is that hard work a lot of you are not willing to do, which is, what is this voice meant for? Put in the effort, put in that hard work to find that music. She found her music and she's been stuck to it, doing so well. It's another woman. She's got this very rough sounding voice, but it's so sexy and beautiful. Check her out. Mercy Gray. Mercy Gray. Beautiful music. If she goes for a competition, she will not even pass the first stage, because the voice doesn't have that bright, smooth, soul R&B kind of voice that you find people display in competition. But she's doing so beautifully well with her amazing music. So your voice, do not judge your voice in isolation. Your voice is a part of the kind of music you are doing. So except you realize or discover the kind of music you want to do, you can never ever perfectly judge the kind of voice you have. So the first work you have to do is finding the music that is most suiting for your voice. Also, take a singer like Sade Adu, for instance. Take Sade Adu from the kind of music she does. That style of music is called easy listening, by the way. Take her away from easy listening. Put her in regular R&B. Put her in rock music. She would not do well. But she did so well in her prime because she discovered her style. In fact, she was one of the first pioneers of that style of music called easy listening. She doesn't have to do so much. She doesn't have to struggle so much. No too much effort. Just smooth. They had to call that style of music easy listening. So you cannot judge your voice in isolation. You can't judge your voice without discovering first the kind of music it is meant for. When I listen to a voice today, I don't listen to that music all by itself. I picture it in the right kind of music. And that is why, for a singer, you have no business starting to release a track, release an album, going to promote, recording, without first getting a large amount of exposure. A musician who wants to go far will build a large music exposure, music from all culture, music from all genres, music from all countries of the world. Get to know them, get to assimilate them, get to internalize them. know music from around the world. So before you give up on your voice, or before you go to the studio and start doing something that it's not really your terrain, you have got so much exposure that you know that this style of music, this sort of artist that I know, that I would say until 2005, my idea of music was quite myopic, so to say. I love jazz so much, so I'm always within the jazz world, soul, R&B, and African music. That was my world. But in 2005, there was a festival in Norway. They called the World Music Festival, and I was chosen as one of the African judges. And for the first time in my life, they gave me a CD. I still have the CD today. It had 201 music from 201 countries, and I was to pick out my best 5 tracks from 201 music. For the first time, all of the limitations I placed on how people sing, all of the standard I had in my head about what a good song is, changed, it vanished. Because every song that was in that 201 folder given to me had passed the best for the country. You get what I'm saying? It had passed the screening for their country, as the best. So now they want the best international. So some of the music, I would listen to them and it was like so dry. There was nothing for me to pick from it. On a normal day, if you ask me to judge, I would say this is not it. Some music from Middle East, some music from Asia, some music from far inside of Africa without any instrument whatsoever, just local drums and vocals. So, but I had to sit down and ask if this song was the best in Singapore. Then I need to find something to appreciate. So I started listening broadly. So I listened to 201 songs from 201 countries for about 2 weeks before I came up with my 5. That experience changed my perception about music forever. So one of the reasons why you think you're not a good singer even right now is that you've not even heard people using your kind of voice from different cultures in different kind of music. You've got to expand your musical exposure before you judge yourself. So there are different ways you can classify a song. I've talked about the smoothness or roughness. I've talked about the weight, the thinness, or the heaviness. That's not the same thing as pitch. And then, of course, the pitch, which is what most people want to hear. Am I a soprano singer? Am I a tenor singer? Am I an alto? Especially a lot of young people who want to join the choir. By the way, I always recommend for you to join the choir as a teenager when you're growing up. The sort of experience you find in a choir, a band, or a choral group, you will never find it anywhere else along the line in your career. The discipline, the commitment, the teamwork, the tolerance, and all of that you learn that you would never find it elsewhere along the journey. Now, in the traditional choir, you would say there are about 4 major parts: soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. But as someone who's been music director at different levels before for over 15 years, one of the challenges that I have had putting people into parts, that there's been so many times that I found it so hard to squeeze somebody into tenor or bass. As a guy, for instance, when men come into a choir, you either want to put them into tenor or bass. But there's been a lot of times that I find guys that they struggle in these 2 places. Especially in contemporary Christian music setting where there are no bass, no bars at all. You just have soprano, alto, tenor most of the times. Just fine. So you have like 100 guys who want to be part of the choir and you have to put all of them in tenor. It always doesn't work. So that was the first time I started thinking, guys must be able to sing other parts. So I opened up my mind and I realized that there are guys who have very sharp sopranos. There are some who have sharp altos. There are those who can sing a part between tenor and bass, and that part is called the baritone. You know, and it changed everything forever. So I'll give my soprano uh, uh, something to sing. Maybe do re mi fa sol. Beautiful. And I'll give my baritone singers same thing on the lower octave. Do re mi fa sol. Do re mi fa sol. And by the time they combine it, I realize the effect. By the time they combine the two parts, I see the effect of that lower baritone on the high soprano, kind of balances it. So I started using some guys for baritone, I started using some for alto, some guys who joined the sopranos, and it was beautiful. Same thing, I've had ladies that I put in tenor before. So you've got to open up your mind. That traditional classification we've been given, to say, ladies, soprano, alto, guys, tenor, bass, it's not true. There are very rare voice types. You just find a guy who sings so beautiful soprano. So open up your mind when you're putting people in a part. And that is why if you're joining the choir today, and as soon as you get there, they say, because you're a guy, you must sing tenor. That's not a good place for you to be. I will tell you the fact. They have to audition you to see your strength. And I would show you further how to determine which one you belong to. So, for me, I would say minimum, there should be 6 parts that you're considering in an average choir. Even if they are just 10 people, try to consider about 6. So, what would I call the 6 parts? Of course, your regular soprano, alto, tenor, bass. But I would like to squeeze in 2 in between. There are these ladies who can sing very high sopranos, like extremely high. You just don't know where that talent or strength is coming from. You give them something normal, average, they can double it up. There are people like that. I found a lot of singers who can go that high, even in Africa. I call those parts, or they usually call the sopranino, or some people call them soprano 1, the upper soprano. Put some people there if there are people who can do that. Whatever the treble part is, they take the higher one, and then you find a soprano behind that, below that. That soprano below that sopranino is called mezzo soprano. That word mezzo in music means moderate, the lower soprano. Both of them will be singing the same thing. Let me give you an example. Say, do, mi, so. Or let me say, the first soprano. Do, mi, so. Second soprano. Do, mi, so. Can you get that? Do, mi, so. Do, mi, so. You can imagine if I, as a guy, am trying to pitch it. Imagine someone whose real part is that. So you can imagine doubling. There is a beauty in music when you double a sound in different octaves, in different levels. It creates a kind of harmony that you cannot explain. It's magical when you have that. Let's say in a choir you have 20 people, you give 10 people. Another 10 people. Beautiful. And they combine it that way. So you can consider treble 1 or soprano 1, soprano 2. And then below soprano, I would put alto. So you see, I've created 3 categories like that for ladies, and some guys can fit in into the alto or fitting into soprano too. So those 3 parts are not just for ladies, even though majorly you find ladies there, but you can put guys there. So 3: soprano 1, soprano 2, or sopranino, mezzo soprano, alto. And then below alto you have tenor, and below tenor you have, normally you will say go to the bass. No, you have the baritone. There are guys whose voices are not so high, and their voices are not so deep. They don't have that heavy depth, like the Barry White's kind of depth, or the Jim Reeves kind of depth. But they also don't have that very high depth. Those are baritone singers. Why do you force them into tenor all of the time? You won't get the perfect smooth harmony, smooth music, because they are struggling. You give them do, ti, sol, fa, mi, re, do. A good tenor should be able to bench it out easily. Do, ti, sol, fa, mi, re, do. But you find these guys in the choir, their necks are always twisted like this every time during a choir administration. Do, ti, sol. They are struggling. And people will look at them and say, these are bad singers. They are not. They have been choked in a place they don't belong to. Take them down. Give them a part below that, and that is called the baritone. But the problem, a lot of times, music directors will tell you, what part would baritone sing? Am I supposed to give them that tenor to sing a lower octave? No. The baritone, let them sing the same thing that the trebles or the first and second sopranos are singing. It's that simple. So let's say what that tenor was supposed to sing is do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Let's say that's your tenor, just for illustration. And your soprano is mi, sol, fa, mi, re, do, ti, do. Mi, sol, fa, mi, re, do, ti, do. Let's say that's your soprano. And tenor is singing do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. Try that lower octave. Mi, sol, fa, mi, re, do, ti, do. Mi, sol, fa, mi, re, do, ti, do. Can you see how easier, how lower it is? What that high part is singing, you give it to a set of guys who will sing the lower octave of it, while the remaining guys who can really pitch high tenor will take the proper tenor. So, and of course below the baritone, then you have the bass. So, especially in a choir where you have 20 and above, always play around. Give people more choices. They would enjoy coming for your choir practice. They would enjoy singing in your band because they are not so limited. So we can classify the human voice or the singing voice under these 6 major parts. In fact, there are a lot of other classifications that have sub parts in between. You have more parts like the contralto and all of that in between. Now, how do you now determine which range? Which I know there's a question in my mind. How do I know which part is meant for me? It's simple. The first thing to do, honestly, is to check your entire range from beginning to end. Your entire range. From the lowest sound you can take to the highest sound you can take. Let's check mine. So this seems to be my lowest. highest. That is the entire range, everything I can sing from lowest to highest. That octave is between that is 2 notes before 4 octaves. My voice can almost reach 4 octaves. Now, the first way to judge where your voice belongs to is when you sing your entire range, which one is in the center? Where is that point where you're not making any extra effort to sing so low or to sing so high? Where is the center of that range? That's where you belong to. What does it sound like? Let's take my own voice, for instance, again, and find the center. Can I sing these places comfortably? No, you can't even hear them well, even though I can sing them. They are not clear, they are not robust, they are not, large. I'm struggling to pick them. So it would be wrong for me to judge my range within that area, even though I'm singing it. So what I'm looking for is the center. So re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol. Now, can you say this last part was the part of my voice, something that came out easily? If I start on a stage singing just within that, will you enjoy it? No. So not everything you can sing, not everything within your range is your effective range. So you're looking for your effective range, you're looking for your center range. So what's my center range? Let's go again. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Start somewhere around here. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la. From somewhere. La, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol. I would say, if you give me a song within this range, I will do justice to it. La, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol. That's my effective range. What does that range sound like to you? Is it a tenor? Is it a bass? Is it soprano? Is it alto? Check it out. What does it sound like? La, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol. La, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol. Majorly baritone and a little of tenor. So I can function well either if you put me in baritone or you put me in tenor. So that's the first way to check. But if you are such a beginner and you can't really check yourself, without even using the scales, if you sing, just sing a song on plenty keys, just try high and low, take a song. Where during that trial, when you at the center, not a point of ease. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying a point where it's so easy, no. A point where it comes out nice is what you're looking for. Not a point where it's just so relaxed and easy, no. You're looking for that point of professional tone where people can still enjoy you, not pitying you. Your neck is turning, all the muscles in your brain, your veins are all coming out. Not that point. That point where the sound coming out is still beautiful. That's your range. That's the part you belong to. So, but let's say you're an absolute beginner. Can I give you some formula to use? The regular bass, for instance, are 2 C's below middle C. You should be able to sing to that point. So if you be able to sing bass, this is what it sounds like. Take note of that formula. 2 C's below middle C. This is my middle C. do. So you should be able to go do ti la sol fa mi re do ti la sol fa mi. See, I had a problem singing my last do because I'm not a bass singer. But you'll be able to go do ti la sol fa mi re do ti la sol fa mi. And then 2 notes above C. Do, re, mi, re, do, mi. So your complete range is mi, re, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. That's the full range of the bass singer. The baritone. You have 2 G's, no, 2 F's below middle C, and 1 G above middle C. Take note again, 2 F below middle C, and 1 G above middle C. So 2 F's below middle C. So my middle C. Let me climb it up to the G above middle C. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. A baritone should be able to get here. Sol, fa, mi, re, do. Then you now go down 2 F. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, ti, la, sol, fa. From lowest to the highest, you should be able to go fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol. That's baritone. Tenor is a bit higher than that. So the tenor is C, 1 C below middle C, and 1 C above middle C. That's like 2 octaves. So do, let's go up. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Climb down. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. A C below middle C, a C above middle C. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Alto. 1 E below middle C, and another, and 2 E's above middle C. 1 E below middle C and 2 E's above middle C. So middle C. Let's go to 2 E's above middle C. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, re, do. Can you see how far that's all together? Mi, re, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi. That's your range as alto singer. Mezzo soprano singer. You know mezzo soprano, the soprano below the main soprano. So you have 1 G below middle C to 2 G's above middle C. 1 G below middle C and 2 G above middle C. Let's climb up first before coming down. So middle C. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol. Come down. Sol, fa, mi, re, do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do, ti, la, sol. Sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa, sol. That's your range. 1 G below middle C and 2 Gs above middle C. That's mezzo soprano. Those guys I say can sing the first layer of soprano, and the very high ones can double it up there. Those ones who can double it up there, they are like from middle C to 2 Cs above middle C, which I can't even illustrate for you, but I'll use the keyboard to help you get there. From middle C to 2 Cs above middle C, that's the highest soprano. People who still go above that, but we're saying on the average, you should be able to get that. Two notes there I couldn't give you as example. You'll be able to get there as that soprano singer. So you can rewind this video and check each level by level and see where you are. If you're honest with yourself, you know where you are. But a lot of time, why people are not honest with their own voice, with the voice they have, is that they have a picture in their head. They want to impress people. They want to sound in a certain way. They envy the soprano singers, even though they are alto singers or tenor. But soprano seems to shine. They are always in front of the microphones. You know, they get more attention. They lead the songs. Even if they take you there in front, you will still not be happy because it's not your voice. You'll be struggling to do it. Those are the kind of people you find, they'll say, I've lost my voice. 3 times in a month, their voice is cracking, it's breaking, it's cracking, it's breaking, it's cracking, it's breaking. Because they are not functioning within their terrain. So, your best voice is not the voice in your head. It's not the voice you're dreaming about. It's the voice that you have. You must discover that voice, embrace it, love it, bring out the best in it, and showcase it to the world. Thank you for being a part of this class. God bless you.